I think Joel has a head a little bit like a potato.
For the King and St. George!
And so what I mean by that is he really does have an incredible face that lends itself to so many different characters. You know, and our face is a mask.
We're welcome here, Jane.
Joel is incredibly talented. You only have to look at that scene in The Great Gatsby.
You're crazy!
Joel's character sweeps the floor with Leonardo DiCaprio.
Daisy loved me when she married me, and she loves me now.
No, I'm sorry, Mr. Buchanan.
She does,
no.
What I think Joel has done is made it in his own terms. He doesn't ever want to have to do things that he doesn't want to do.
Well done, Patrick.
Thank you.
And I think he's created a world in which he can do that. Now, that to me is success in this industry.
What is written on a piece of paper is less important than blood.
I've got my own psychoanalytical ideas behind why actors are actors. And I'll just couch it in saying this is just my theory. I think people seek an audience because they're looking for affirmation.
So did you get a hold of your brother?
What I coveted was not so much the craft of acting, but in the early days going, I want people to show me attention.
I heard you left him.
I suspect the reason that even begins is because you feel like you're a bit unlovable and that you're looking for attention.
Joel, on your right! Joel,
But there's something about walking a red carpet or going to a film festival and being on show that fills me with incredible anxiety. The times that I've had panic attacks in my life has only been in the last 5 or 6 years, and they manifest as this sort of inability to breathe, and I was like, all right, well, that's a new thing for me.
Engage the spearhead, please!
I've known for a long time that Joel has feelings of anxiety. I think it's really brave of him to be talking about it, especially when you're an actor who's built a career on a certain kind of solid masculinity. I've always known Joel to be a pretty private person. On those occasions when he has talked to me about anxiety, I have felt like, okay, the very fact that you're doing this is significant because it's not the way you usually move through the world.
Was there a thing when you were listening to it, because you'd never read it before, had you sort of pictured who it would be?
Actor-wise?
Yeah, like what kind of a person?
Just because you wrote it, I was thinking, where would you...
That I would cast myself.
Yeah, where would you sit?
How I think of Joel, probably in a nutshell, would be a combination of like a James Bond, suave, charismatic, charming guy crossed with the Labrador puppy, crossed with Manuel from Fawlty Towers. That would be the best way to describe Joel.
Well, that's funny. I joked to him about doing this. He's like, this thing will be just a bunch of people saying nice stuff about me. And I'm like, well, I'm happy to come and do the opposite if you want.
Like if it was a big budget thing,
Yeah.
who would you try and cast in that?
Like, he said, it should be someone who's kind of smart.
Someone smart.
Yeah, and then I ruled you out.
I don't know if I could imagine my life being anywhere near what it is right now if I didn't have Nash. It's sort of like if I was standing at the foot of the jungle, I'd be like, oh, it's a bit scary in there, and Nash just grabbed the machete and went, come on. And I was like, okay, with my backpack on, I'm like, I'm following you, bro. That's what it feels like to me.
You get a bit of a sense of his psyche.
Nash and Joel are like two halves of a whole. Oh, well, I don't know. Maybe Nash would be able to exist without Joel, but I don't think Joel would be able to exist without Nash.
Maybe I should be more honest.
They write together, they work together, they speak the same language, really.
Or at least understand the decision.
Like the Bronte sisters.
Growing up with Nash, we sort of basically flip-flopped from like the best of friends to mortal enemies.
Listen, have you boys got any girlfriends that you haven't told us about? Hey?
Joel and I did what brothers do, like Played together, fought together.
What about Nash? What's his girlfriend's name?
Jackie Howard.
We seemed to get a lot of the fighting out of the way when we were pretty young, though.
Joel, he was a very soft person as a child, whereas Nash was more aggressive, more tough. Because if ever they had a fight, we would always say to them, okay, who did it? Own up, who did it? And Michael would say, and if you don't own up, I'll smack both of you. And Joel would never dob, and Nash would never dob. So they'd both get a smack. And then afterwards, you'd hear Joel saying, Nash, why didn't you tell Mum you did it?
When we were growing up, Dad was a solicitor. Mum essentially was homemaker.
Michael was building up his legal practice. He had to have very long hours.
Regrettably, I probably didn't spend as much time at home as I would in retrospect have liked to. But I was there for them when they needed me.
We had an acreage in Dural. Where we lived was right on the edge of a national park. And I guess what was interesting about where Nash and I ended up is I'm certain that sort of part of it had to do with the fact that there wasn't, hundreds of things to do there as a kid that didn't involve your imagination. So it started to become about using the camera that Dad had bought for a family holiday. And that was really led by Nash.
They used to run around making short films and doing stunts and that sort of thing.
When Nash started to film, Joel was always cast as the actor. And I think Joel liked that, and he liked us saying how fantastic he was.
They watched a lot of movies at home. I used to come home and chastise Marianne because she didn't censor him as much as I would have. The types of movies, all the blood and guts and murder.
We were watching ninja movies and we would try and recreate like these ninja stunts in the backyard. Some of it involved me jumping off the roof of the house and swinging from trees and jumping over things. But none of it was ever with the intention that this would be a job that we would do.
Both boys excelled at school, and when Nash did engineering at uni, we were so excited he was doing something like that.
I couldn't imagine myself being an engineer. At the end, I remember just sitting there, I'm going to class, and I couldn't see what the point was. And during that year, I had this idea that I was going to be a stuntman. The only person I told was Joel.
As a kid, he's got many stories of jumping from moving trains because he was late for his, basketball. Doing stuff like that because he really enjoys the thrill of it. He just gets a kick out of putting himself in danger.
There's no formal chain of events if you become a stuntman. And so he incessantly calls somebody who is part of the stunt world or stunt agency, and you bug them so much that they eventually go, all right, kid, come and train with us.
My nan knew I was up to something. She said to me one day, she goes, I know you're skipping uni, but if you drive me to the shop so I don't have to catch the bus, I won't tell your parents. And I'm like, that's a fair deal. So I was sort of became Nan's chauffeur so she would not dob me in. But, my parents cornered me and I had to confess that I was going to drop out of uni and I was going to be a stuntman. I feel like my mum cried for 3 months.
What did I say to him? Why don't you get a real job, We were worried he was going to be dead in a couple of weeks, But he proved to be good at what he was doing and proved his old man wrong.
For Joel, I think me being a stuntman made him being an actor seem so much easier.
Joel loved performing. Even in kindergarten, every play that was put on, he wanted to be part of.
When I was young, a lot of what I was motivated buy was trying to get the attention of my dad.
This is an on-the-spot reporter coming to interview Joel. Are you camera shy, Joel?
Sort of.
Are you? Ah.
He was working so many hours, and I think I sat there going, well, what can I do to get my dad's attention if I'm not getting it? And the two avenues I had was sport and doing plays. If Joel's doing a play, you have to turn up. I'd done plays at high school. I'd seen other high school plays. But I remember going to see a play at the Opera House. I saw The Crucible. Like, the whole story sucks you in and you feel like the power of all that. And the performances were so believable. And it felt very dignified to me. It felt like a challenge and I wanted it. So I started thinking about going to drama school, and I was hiding that from my father because I thought I needed to tell him, like, I'm gonna do something viable and safe. And he was the one who, I know when he realized, he was like, listen, why just do the thing that you love doing and then don't worry about money. Money will come as a byproduct of doing the thing that you love, but just be open to pivot if it doesn't work out.
He did try to get into NIDA, but they weren't accepting anyone that young. So he went to Theatre Nepean, which was a wonderful course, actually.
The very first time I ever took notice of Joel was day one at drama school. And, I think I was 26, he was 17. And he was a strange-looking kid. He did something, I remember, in second year in an exercise that still blows my mind. It was just a two-hander and they did the scene and he blushed in this appropriate time. That's great acting. I mean, because you can't act a blush. It's got to be real. I don't think he was aware of how extraordinary that was.
I've taught a lot of talented people. They don't all get the rewards. But Joel had everything going for him, really. He also had the head of a bricklayer and the heart of a poet, and that's a pretty good, useful combination.
I was working as a porter in a hotel, which was the sort of realities of coming out of drama school. But I got a job.
You all right, Andy?
Yeah. I think I got the job on Police Rescue because my character's supposed to be extremely panicked and anxious, and that's how I felt going to the audition. So they probably thought I was, like, acting really well, but I was probably just, like, really, really worried.
We're gonna have to shoot him, Andy.
What? I think I just saw it as a sign, like, I'm gonna quit this job. I'm gonna be an actor.
Do it. Do it.
Because I didn't know how filming works. I arrived, we shot in DY at a video store.
Bloody do it, Andy! Okay!
And by 11 o'clock in the morning, I was told to go home. Not because I was fired, just because my character was dead. And they're like, we're done with you. I'm like, oh, okay. Now I don't really have an acting career and I don't really have a job at all. And so I started working in the theatre. That led to getting a couple of jobs at the Sydney Theatre Company and the Bell Shakespeare Company, which I did for about sort of 4 or 5 years.
What manner of man in it, like your majesty?
Actor Joel Edgerton, known to television viewers for his role in Police Rescue, plays Prince Hal, the teenage brat who's heir to the throne.
The father-son relationship stuff and the whole nature of the play really hasn't. The dilemmas within it are no different today, I think, to then.
There was a play in particular I went and saw him do. I think it was Third World Blues, and I remember watching him in this play and forgetting it was my brother halfway through. And that was the first time I went, oh, he's really good.
When Nash started his career, he was just lugging crash mats and ropes and basically assisting real stunt guys. And so he was like, I know I can do more than this.
People wouldn't give you a job working on a film unless you'd worked on a film And the way to prove you'd worked on a film was you'd have a show reel with clips of you doing stunts on a film. And so I was like, okay, well, I need to make a show reel, and rather than us just showing us training, let's make a little sequence like it's from a movie and put it on our show reels. And, you know, I was telling Joel what this idea was, and he said, oh, maybe that'll work for me as an actor.
The thing that was always like tugging at me was like, I wanted to be in the movies. So let's make a film and we'll make it half an acting scene and half of a stunt action sequence.
Who's your mate?
It's my mate Frog. He knows Harpo too.
Frog? Well, why do they call you Frog?
It's just a nickname. So Nash and I are playing these two like hood rats who are like trying to buy a gun.
Oh, get out of here.
We basically steal the gun and the money.
Hey guys!
And it's a chase scene now.
It cost $500 to make Loaded, and the only reason it cost that much was because Nash broke a windscreen by throwing his body through it. Otherwise, it would have cost about $80 or something.
We were like so green, we had no idea. And you know, Kieran found some place that said it was going to screen some short films. It was at the Performance Space in Redfern.
I don't know who hadn't thought about this ahead, but that performance collective was not the place to show Loaded. A violent crime short film by 4 dudes, you know.
Slick dice, sunshine.
You know, our film screened and people booed and hissed it. Someone yelled out, "This is not performance art," and people hated it. And I'm like, we're never showing this thing ever again, anyway. And we shouldn't make anything ever again. Like, people don't like what we've done. And then Kieran said that, you know, we got into the Bathurst Film Festival.
And we won everything. We literally won everything. And then it suddenly was out there winning awards and stuff, and this whole new world opened up to us that we didn't know anything about.
But I think at that point, we still weren't thinking we were going to be filmmakers. But we had fun, like, making this thing together. So we set out, we were going to make something else. So we put $250 each into a bank account, and we had to give the account a name, and we called it Blue Tongue Films.
The idea behind the name Blue Tongue had to do with its Australianness, but also a nice sort of hint to the fact in most of the films we were making that, as the Americans would call it, there's a lot of cussing.
You're a bit late, mate.
What?
Sorry.
Oh, no. No way.
Hey, you gotta go out, mate.
Really, too much shit to get here. You gotta take it.
There are a bunch of like little breakthrough moments during that whole timeline of Blue Tongue in the early days.
2 minutes after the deadline, you want to take my film?
Deadline? What are you talking about, mate? It's tomorrow.
One of them for sure was Nash making Deadline, you know, a film he made in 1 week about a guy who's trying to rush to get his film into Tropfest.
I'm so sorry, man.
Hey, good luck with your film, mate.
5 films were right up there near the top. It might have been even 6. But the winner is Deadline.
I ended up winning Tropfest. I remember Joel just started pushing me up the, up the walkway, and I was like so shocked.
It's incredible. Here's to putting more action in films because it's great for the stunt industry. Nash Edgerton, ladies and gentlemen, congratulations.
Mum told me Dad cried. I know he never asked me again after that about, going back to university.
What are you going to do now?
Going to have a heart attack.
Any more films?
Yeah, I might make a few more. Yeah. There was something we were doing that was working, even though we were still trying to work out what we were doing.
Fox Searchlight put together this group of, rising filmmakers from out of Australia. And anyway, they flew us to America and put us up. Heath Ledger had actually just recently moved over that way, and Heath took us tearing up through the hills, the Hollywood Hills, and we pulled into this place, and I got this shot of Heath sitting there and Joel standing there, and I look at that picture and I just look at those boys and I just think, if only you knew, you know, if only you could see into the future. Because neither of them could possibly have foreseen what was going to happen.
I look back now and go, I'm glad I didn't have too much success or money or any of those things when I was too young, because I'm definitely impressionable. There's an aspect in a lot of us that we need to please people. I get it from my mum. I think it's the reason why I'm easily influenced, and I'm someone that definitely succumbed to peer pressure. I wanted to be part of the group. I wanted to be loved. I wanted to be accepted.
Do you love me?
Is it what you want? Is it what Dan wants?
Tell me, just tell me you love me. I need to hear it.
I love you, okay?
Around 2000, when we did the film, Saturn's Return, people were starting to sort of show an interest in his work. And while that attention may not have been in the public eye yet, the industry was definitely buzzing about the work that he was doing. And, for any of us, it's easy to fall into the hedonistic side of what this industry brings with success.
There was definitely points in my 20s where, just as things were going really well, I could easily have just done something to really destroy that. Oh, I think you could probably guess what they are. Just just being frivolous, partying, substances, alcohol. I mean, it's weird because I've got a real control aspect to my personality. But that's not to say that you also could think that you're in control while being out of control. There's only so much sort of adventurousness into darkness that you can do without somebody going, "Oi, what are you doing?" I don't really talk about all that stuff too much, but there was definitely times when both my brother and my parents were just there to kind of tap me on the shoulder and just wouldn't let me go off and fall apart all by myself.
At the time, I was pretty busy, but my kids were, important to me, and it was a matter of whatever it takes. He needed help. I just shut down and was prepared to shut it down for whatever length of time it took to make sure he got himself right and overcome what his problems were at the time.
I felt this immense caring and love from my family, more than I would have ever expected, that made me realise I was crazy to not ask for that help myself. And I think anyone who's smart enough can read between the lines without me having to talk about it specifically.
We were always there for Joel. So with Nash guiding him through things and us, he got through it quite well. And we got him back on track. Everything was fine.
I'm someone that suffers from anxiety, and I know that it's most of the time it's very mild for me, and it's really not until the last sort of handful of years that I've realised that part of the madness in my 20s and a lot of that had to do with the anxiety of starting to grow into this person that was being scrutinised and not handling it very well, and not handling big crowded situations very well, and going into a premiere of a movie just feeling like, oh, this is I know everybody thinks this is glamorous, but this is sort of terrifying. The best thing I could do is really just focus on the focus part of me and get rid of the parts of me that were going to sort of lead me astray.
When I think of Joel, I get snapshots of actors' parties in my 20s in Bondi. He sort of arrived with a group of people. He's always got a sort of a family around him. Secret Life of Us would have been our real bonding as mates.
I reckon love's a sickness.
Heightened blood pressure, insomnia,
heart palpitations.
Yeah. Secret Life of Us was a huge thing.
They're symptoms of heart disease.
Heart disease? The writing was really good. I felt like the characters were really interesting. And it was one of the best jobs I'd ever done, still to this day, is being down there in Melbourne with all that gang, Claudia and Sam and everyone.
I think he was less well known when we started on Secret Life of Us. That certainly changed very, very quickly. I think when you're young, that sort of extra interest in your life is, yeah, really unhinging and really confusing.
The show's based around these parts and you live here too. Do you reckon, do you get mobbed in the streets when you're around about?
Shooting out on location here around St Kilda, which we do maybe 4 days out of 2 weeks, tends to now draw a bit more attention.
I remember walking down the street and walking past some people and hearing people walking past talk about, oh, isn't that so-and-so from Zero? And that was the first time I went, oh, someone's recognizing my brother? Like, that was weird.
There's that guy, there's that whatever. And I went through a phase of about 1.5 years or 2 years of feeling ultra self-conscious about that. Like, you know, obviously it plays on your ego a little bit, you know, realizing that people who are serving you in a shop are like way too nice to you. And I was traveling to LA a lot soon after that to try and get, you know, a career happening in the States. And there'd be none of that stuff. And I never started to feel too self-important, but I do remember going to LA going, look, was no one whispering? Was no one whispering my name?
Nash is a hustler, like big time, and he's good at what he does.
By then, I'd worked on a number of large films as a stuntman. You know, I'd worked on the Matrix trilogy, Mission Impossible 2, Thin Red Line. And then to get a job working on a Star Wars film that was shooting here was amazing. Well, you know, I got asked to be Ewan McGregor's stunt double.
How are you feeling after that fall?
I feel fine, man. I just can't smile because the beard's stuck on.
The guy was an absolute Star Wars nut. What was he? I don't know, 22 or something, and he's still got all these models hanging off the roof. So that was a trip, you know, like, holy hell, Nash is actually working in his dream job. But then when Joel got cast, the whole thing was just so surreal.
Joel got cast in it to play Uncle Owen. So then we were both working on Star Wars. That was pretty awesome.
What brings you to Star Wars Universe? How do you feel about being a part of our little family here?
It's very exciting, especially when you're on a set like this. This is pretty cool.
There's this moment you have of opportunity. Like, I shot Star Wars in Sydney. I could go to LA for a whole 18 months and be like, hey, I'm in Star Wars. And you just hear all the doors open. Like, come in. Oh, you're in Star Wars, you know. I don't have to tell them I'm only in like 3 scenes and that maybe at the end of the day, I could even be cut out of the entire movie. The less you say, the better. And the fact that you're in Star Wars is just, all the doors are open, right?
Look behind you.
What is it?
It's your niche market, Charlie.
There was an interesting moment that happened. For some reason, I don't know why,
Big niche.
that I got the job playing Charlie Price in Kinky Boots.
Kinky Boots tells the story of Charlie Price, Joel Edgerton, who inherits a traditional Northampton shoe factory from his late father.
I mean, we need Milan to go like pow, like the two of us did that night at the Angel, yeah?
You look at it now and you think, how the hell did they cast him in that?
We will take the Angel Club to Milan.
Choosing this Aussie who's not that well known.
I've already had to fire 15 of them, and they were the 15 worst times of my life.
It was a very strange bit of casting, but it worked.
Maybe Nicola Marsden will never ever quite get Charlie Price.
Maybe I won't.
So this sort of projection was that Kinky Boots was going to potentially be this huge thing. I was prepared for that, and I was definitely ready to go. Come on, let's step this up a notch. Let me have all the riches and opportunities.
There was just these ingredients that felt like they were ripe for something to pop, and then It just didn't.
Look, it's an amiable enough film without much sort of resonance,
It's
really.
one of these British feel-good
Yes.
comedies that's sort of safe and cosy.
Look,
but
it's
I like
3.5 stars from me.
it. 3.5 from me, Tim.
Probably a really good, humbling experience was that Kinky Boots came out. People did love the film, but it didn't do very well at the box office. About a week after it got released, I remember walking in to have an audition at a place in LA, and I sat in a room and there was like 8 guys that could have easily have been me. And I realised that this road that was potentially going to take me into the land of riches and opportunity was just me going back to the drawing board, which was like, I've just got to go back to the workbench with every other joker that looks like me and try and compete for a job. It was like, that's it, that's my chance, I just blew it. But I didn't necessarily blow it, it's just like it's blown by the economics of the business. So, you know, some people luck into the right thing, some people don't. This is why you need to be in there for the long game.
3, 2, 1, action.
It wasn't until we made Animal Kingdom, I wasn't sitting around wondering where my next job was coming from. These are for you.
Thanks, mate.
And the AFI award goes to Joel Edgerton, Animal Kingdom.
And suddenly life changed.
The Streetcar Named Desire, centre stage with Kate Blanchett.
I had a bit of a meltdown, actually. Everybody tells you how great you were at doing a horrible thing.
Like, I worry about him all the time. Joel's a sensitive guy.
We need some music. There's no doubt that as an actor, I quite often used to think, like, what use am I to the world? Here you go, I'll take that here.
There's a great value to be had in going, you know what, I don't want to think about me anymore.